Alrighty, guys, welcome to the Fight Philly Fight first live stock up, stock down edition. I have a special guest, my good friend here, Chip Keagy from All About the Birds. I've followed him for a long time on Twitter. Always look at his work. Always makes me laugh, and me and him see eye to eye a lot on a lot of different things that go on. So I'm definitely glad to be a part of this. How are you doing, my friend?
Living the dream, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the invite.
Hey, that's what we're here for, man. I know it's been extremely frustrating this season, man. It just, needless to say, this is not how I think we thought the season was going to go in any shape or form.
I think we knew it was going to be bad, right? So
was it going to be this bad?
We obviously knew that it was going to be a blow up the season kind of thing. We knew that there was going to be some learning curves and some struggles. But this isn't professional football.
No,
this is not NFL football. And I was on a podcast pre-season, and I think I had this team winning 6 games. I think maybe 7 games, somewhere in that range. I forget. I have to check. But the guy who was hosting the show said, this is a 12-win team. I went, in what universe is this a 12-win team? Now, I'm hoping they match last year's win total. I am sitting here legitimately concerned about the Detroit Lions.
You know, it's actually hilarious they've been saying that. So one of the main co-hosts of one of the shows on Fight Philly Fight Network, Talking Birds with Babe, is my wife, and she's been stating for the last 5 weeks, I kid you not, that we are going to give the Detroit Lions their first win.
Yeah.
And I agree with it too. And it's crazy. Like I literally had tweeted, I was like, I'll be shocked if we opened up as, I wouldn't be shocked if we showed up as underdogs against this match, and somehow we're not. We're favored, and like Detroit plays hard.
Only because Detroit is a winless team are we and it's funny that you do that, because on my Monday night show I have the weekly pickoff with my wife, and we pick the NFL games, and we got to the Eagles Lions, and I said, I'm picking the Eagles, and she goes, I'm shocked. I said, I am too, and the only reason why is because the Lions are a winless football team. But you look at a Lions team that gave the Rams a fight.
I mean, they've given almost every team they faced
every team. And they've given every team a fight, and you cannot say the same about the Philadelphia Eagles. They are fourth quarter champions after they've already gotten their brains kicked in.
And it's crazy to me, man. And I've gone through immense amount of tape, and I have to you have to walk away, man. And I rewatched a lot of the coach's film from this Las Vegas game, and I just got to walk away, man. And I'll tell you what, and we get into it. And I looked at the offense. I took a look at it, and yes, the play calling was not good. Yes, Jalen Hurts didn't play that well, but in all reality, the Raiders just had our number. They found a favorable matchup against, with Yannick Ngakoue going up against Jordan Mailata. They loved that matchup, and they were sending that pressure consistently. They found that matchup that they loved, and they exploited it. And we did, and that's the part that killed me in offense. We did nothing to solve that problem. Then I got to the defense side of the ball, and I don't know what to even make of what they were trying to do, because a lot of what they were trying to do, it was following the 2020 Rams.
Yep.
And we're not even in the ballpark. And part of it is that the scheme is very skewed from what that's supposed to be, and we have nowhere in this world the players to fit that scheme. In particular, our linebacking core.
Oh God, you're gonna make me blow the artery early.
So, that's what I'm saying. And, I'm an older guy. I'm an older Eagles fan. People are just catching on to how much we don't care about linebackers. This team has never
linebackers. Ever.
In 2 decades, I would say we've
minimum.
Had
minimum. I mean, you have a guy like Jeremiah Trotter, who is the last game-changing linebacker that we've had on this team.
Thank you. And that's what I'm talking about, man. And that's a problem. And in this scheme, when you're playing that hybrid zone, you have to have linebackers who can cover. If you can't, and you're continuously playing 2 deep safeties, you're going to get cooked every time. Derek Carr didn't even, minus that one deep shot, didn't even sniff the end of the field. You know why? Because everything was in front of him.
He didn't have to. And here's the thing: we're common fans, right? We watch a game, and then we'll watch some footage, but we're not getting the fancy breakdowns. We're not getting the fancy film room stuff. We sat in our pregame show at All About the Birds and said, Derek Carr likes to release the ball fast. You got to get pressure on him quick. We knew that. We schemed that, which means you need great cover linebackers because the wide receivers are running slants, stops. You need the running backs to get shut down out of the backfield, and none of it happened because it's not in Davion Taylor's ability. It's not in Eric Wilson's ability, apparently. It's not in Alex Singleton's ability. It is beyond their capabilities. I'm not even mad at those guys. I am mad at Howie for drafting these guys and saying, no, they'll be fine. We just need a linebacker. Put me in a jersey. I could be as good a linebacker right now, as much time as they take to develop. Now, Alex Singleton still goes a million miles an hour, which is great. And he plays hard and he goes to the ball and he flies the ball, and that's fantastic. But the problem is that he cannot cover. So when you get an accurate passer like Derek Carr and a backup tight end who's hungry, let me say that again. We got beat by a backup tight end and a backup running back on Sunday.
We got torched.
What is going to happen when you go against a Lions quarterback in Jared Goff, who is a mediocre to good quarterback, depending on the day, with accuracy ability? It's the same blueprint, so it's already there. I'm nervous. I'm nervous for the Lions.
So I'm absolutely nervous as well. And I'm glad we're kind of getting this all out because we're going to get into some more. But that's, so in my point in time, so obviously that's where I'm getting frustrated. So we talk about how and I understand where Jonathan Gannon is trying to go. I get it. I understood in the preseason. I understood the very first game. But when you face a team that has the underneath capabilities and is not continuously big play, which we still seemingly get beat by, just not as often, you that's all you had to do. So we're already facing a quarterback who gets rid of the ball, and I think it was like 1.7 seconds. The ball's out of Derek Carr's hands.
It's quick.
It's something in that realm, and then we're giving him all these easy reads.
It's his first read. It's always his first read. He doesn't have to go through the progression.
Nope, because it's right there. Because we're playing a million miles away from him. But that's something I need to see a change on, man. And I think that's something that I understand that you're forcing a scheme because we're going to be here. But man, when you have maybe 3 players that can play that scheme, you got to change it.
And the thing that is most frustrating about it is we're going against some really great wide receivers in this league, right? Henry Ruggs should have had a huge game. He was shut down. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, these guys, huge games, should have been shut down or should have had huge games. Mike Evans, Antonio Brown should have had huge games. Our secondary, and I mean Nelson and Slay, are actually playing pretty damn well.
Correct.
But McLeod is being handcuffed. Anthony Harris apparently was handcuffed and couldn't play due to hand and groin injuries. So we got Marcus Epps, who I'm over the Epps experiment. Anthony Harris has not looked great. I mean, all these guys on 1-year prove-it deals, they're proving why they're on 1-year prove-it deals and why there wasn't a big market for them.
So when it comes to Anthony Harris, so I would go ahead and say that I think he's the player that I thought he always was. Mm-hmm. I think he's a solid safety.
Yeah.
I think he does play decently hard to the ball, which is why he messed up his hands. But like Eric Wilson, like we understand why Eric Wilson was on that freaking free market, man. And I said that, I tweeted that when he came to the team, I was like, why?
Because he was an upgrade. He was an upgrade over Nathan Geary.
Anybody was upgrade over Nathan Geary.
I'm not sure what exactly that says, but he was an upgrade to Nathan Geary.
Oh my God. Can we apply to be the linebackers coach and like assistant position
No,
coach? Or
no, because Howie's not hacked into our emails, so he wouldn't have any dirt over us.
Apparently, I swear that's got to be it, man.
It's got to be it. And now they're making a big push for emails. Like, somebody, please go into Howie's emails and figure out why this man is still here.
Dude, send him like a dirty tweet or something. I don't know.
Like, do it.
It's got to be something. All right, man. We're gonna get into stock up, stock down after this week 7 disastrous nightmare, man. We'll get a little bit more into that Lions game because I want to get some of your interests and intake kind of on that. So let's start off positive. We're gonna go 5 and 5. We'll pick 5 stock up, 5 stock down. So how about you go first for stock up?
All right. So believe it or not, the stock up is kind of tough to do right now. I think
5.
Yeah, I did come up with 5. I actually came up with 6. I came up with 6. But a lot of it is situational based. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is the hand that they were dealt. So, for example, Kenny Gainwell's stock is going up. Why? Because Miles Sanders isn't going to be playing for the next couple weeks. We have already seen since week 1, Nick Sirianni loves Kenny Gainwell. They're going to continue using him. And now that he's going to be the feature back, because they may or may not bring up Jordan Howard. And again, that's another name. I'm saying I would like them to bring up Jordan Howard. Not that they give a crap about the run game right now, but Kenny Gainwell is going to get more touches.
Oh, yeah.
Kenny
Gainwell. I 100% agree.
Dallas Goedert stock has to go up because he's tight end 1 now. They didn't use him. He had 3 catches and 2 of them were in garbage time. But they have to try using him so we can get an accurate assessment of, he's going to be a free agent. He's going to demand a lot of money on the free agent market, and we have to get an accurate. Shut up, Howie. Shut up.
Oh, yeah.
So Gainwell, Goddard. I think Mailata will have a bounce back game. I think he was dealing with a lot of injury stuff. He's going from injury to left to right. Then I think Mailata is a good tackle. I think that they have to just keep building him up, and give him support on the left-hand side. I mean, Dickerson hasn't been fantastic this season.
No.
I've always kind of been against him due to the injury, due to the fact that it was a pretty severe injury, and now the expectation is like, hey, just go. Injuries. Yes, thank you. Injuries. So once again, great job by our scouting department of, oh, well, if he comes back from injury, listen, it's not Joel Embiid. It's not Ben Simmons. It's not Markelle Fultz. Well, it's not Simmons. Andrew Bynum. It's not Nerlens Noel. It's not all these guys who had to redshirt a year or 2. So I have Gainwell, Goddard, Mailata. I have the secondary, and by the secondary, I mean the corners, just because they are continuing to do what they have to do. And they're facing a Lions team that doesn't have a ton of weapons, so they should be able to do some extra things, which means our safety should be able to play well too.
Or at least, cover.
Cover someone. I said Fletcher Cox because now he's put himself out there as like, I get paid to sack the quarterback. I know he probably should sack the quarterback then.
So I actually I'm glad you brought Fletcher Cox, and I'm going to get to him in a minute because he's actually on my stock down.
Okay. He was border for me.
Yeah, and it actually has a lot to do with not only this comment, but the last few comments he has made. I keep hitting my goddamn microphone.
It's all good.
So the 5 that I have, and a lot of them match yours. So Goddard, Mailata, I do think his injury had a part to play because Yannick Ngakoue hadn't done anything all season long. And he had an all-star game. He
did, and so did Max Crosby.
Correct. So, but I do think Jordan Mailata's a stock up. I think he is good. I think he anchors very well. He's a big bulldog. So
he's
I think
a team player too. Like, he's always the first one to pick up Jalen Hurts off the turf.
So I do agree. My one that I don't think you had mentioned was actually Vontae Maddox.
Okay.
I think Vontae Maddox has actually been playing very well this season, and I think he's on his way to earn himself a contract. He's been extremely. I mean, don't talk about the PFF numbers.
I won't.
The physical eye test of him has been very good. He's been very good in coverage. He has been very good. He has had a couple different pass deflections. He's played hard to the ball. So I do pick Vontae Maddox. The other person that I want to kind of dive into as well is actually Darius Slay.
Okay.
He is on my list, and I do think he's having a big bounce back year.
He's having a great season. Great season.
When he is shadowing the number one receiver, because what I noticed in this game was that they didn't have him playing off zone like everybody else. He was actually running out. Some plays he actually was, but he kept Henry Ruggs to 4 catches, 24 yards. Like he
exactly
kept him down. So I definitely think that's what I'm saying. You start to see where Gannon starts to shift it a little bit, but then they're 3rd and 15, and never mind. We're not going to play, but so that's part of my mentality, and when we talk about that as well. The last guy.
I also think, though, part of the reason why Darius Slay is having a bounce back year is due to the fact that he's not on an island by himself now. Having Steven 100%. Nelson across the way, they actually have to throw to one of those two guys.
No, I 100% agree. So there's something that's going to have to, get, and obviously, Nelson's going to get picked on more, but, and then my last stock up that I have that was different from yours was Jack Driscoll.
Okay.
I think Driscoll has actually fared pretty well at right guard, considering that he's been primarily a tackle in his NFL career.
Right.
And not to mention that he's a smaller guard. So, and that's what kills me. So the thought behind Landon Dickerson is that if he came in healthy, he would be a stud.
He did not.
He would be a stud. He gets put on skates more than Jamone Brown.
Oh, God. So that viral video of Jamone Brown that happened last year with him shamoning, fixing his glove, that was me recording my TV screen. I went, this is not real life. And it went viral, thousands and thousands and thousands. I now call him Shimon Brown because he's fixing that. Like it's Jack Driscoll is. I'm so much higher on Jack Driscoll because of he came in and had to start week 1 last season at right tackle and he played well. When Dickerson had to come in, you could see that he wasn't ready for the NFL speed of the game. And I have a lot of friends who are they're offensive line coaches at big high schools. And they're like, oh no, he's great. He's great. I'm like, okay, I know why you want him to be great, but he's not right now. He's just not.
So where Landon Dickerson comes into play, where his strength was, and the reason why they really liked him is somewhat closer. It mimics close to Jason Kelsey in that his push off from the snap, when he anchors, he's a tough guy to get behind. But when you're a guard and you have to shift with the line, that's where he gets beat. That's where he gets put on skates every time. He's getting put on skates by nobodies. And usually when we're against our own goal line. Yes.
I mean, that's the biggest thing that I've seen. I've been watching closely, especially during that portion of when he's getting beat. And besides the fact that it's at the worst possible times. It's the worst possible times.
So, and that's where he can't, if someone comes at him in a speed rush or it's coming at in a 4 technique at him, he's going to get burned. Absolutely. So that's all we got for stock up.
Well, wait, one name that neither of us said, and I have to throw it out there because it's Philly and we have to have our drama. Gardner Minshew.
Okay.
So here's why his stock is going up. Obviously, number one, he is now elevated to QB2. He will dress again. Obviously, the fan base is all about Gardner Minshew because he's fun. He's the backup quarterback. So obviously we love our backup quarterbacks here. The same complaints that quarterbacks like Donovan and Mike Vick got for things that were completely out of their control and they were born with. Jalen Hurts is getting the same thing. We tend to have a preference for a lighter shade of quarterback in Philadelphia. I'm not to start drama on your show, but let's call it like it is. We just assume that certain shades of quarterback are better. But as Jalen Hurts continues to struggle to throw the long balls, he continues to struggle to move this offense, as he continues to struggle to hit receivers in stride and accurately, the calls for Gardner Minshew are going to be louder and louder. And at some point this season, we will see Gardner Minshew on the field.
I'm real torn by that simply just because
I don't want to.
No. And I don't see the point of it. And
neither do I.
In my entirety of watching the NFL and my entirety of covering now the NFL, I'm not even in the same stratosphere. And like my concern is that we'll put Gardner Minshew on the field just to get absolutely obliterated.
Correct.
So if I were him, I would hope they do not, because the perk of Jalen Hurts is, and it's crazy because the stat came out that Jalen Hurts had the most time in the NFL to throw the ball. Well, the reason why that stat's so skewed is because he runs. He's running around. In some cases, yes, he absolutely leaves the pocket too early. Other cases, they're in his immediate face, and he's got to move. So to me, it's one of those different things. But I understand that stock up, and like I said, even if they've already decided, hey, Hurts is not our guy, I would still just keep Hurts out on the field.
Remember, this season was supposed to be is Jalen Hurts going? Is he capable of being the guy? Now, through 7 games, I would say no. I like him as a leader. I like him as an athlete. I think that he struggles as a quarterback in the NFL because you can say it all you want. Well, he has all these intangibles. Arm strength is still the number 1 requirement in the NFL as a quarterback. And Jalen Hurts doesn't have it. He's never had it. This is a guy who lost the job to Tua, whose arm strength is pathetic. Gardner Minshew can at least throw a deep ball.
Full disclosure, I always thought that Jalen Hurts was better than Tua.
Agreed totally.
So
but he still lost the job.
He just still lost the job. But I'll tell you what, some of it has to do with his arm strength, and I'm glad we're actually bringing him up because he's the first one I got on stock down.
Same.
We're bringing up. So when we talk about the arm strength, and when I rewatch him, because I've spent a lot of time rewatching his mechanics,
it's all it is.
A lot of his anticipation and the touch, because he does throw. If he's got a guy on the beat, he throws it decent enough. Where his biggest issue is he doesn't step into the throw.
Nope.
It's almost like a fadeaway that he's throwing, and that it's like it just reminds me of the Nick Foles airtime throws.
Right. But the thing is, like, if you think about what Nick Sirianni said during the first couple of practices, he said we got to fix him from the ground up. Now it's week 7. He's still making the same mistakes. Oh, well, he's only started 10 games in the NFL. I don't care anymore. He started 10 NFL games. Herbert started a whole bunch of games in the NFL. He had a superb season. These are guys who, at some point, you actually just have to get better. And Hurts is not.
No, and that's something I will agree with. I do think, but the other side of the house, and then we can move on to your next stock down pick is, yes, it has a lot to do with that. I don't Hurts isn't on the same level as Herbert or Burrow. But it also has to do with that this team is not, or I should say this offense is in no shape or form calling.
Oh my God.
To suit him. So, and I'm actually, bring this up before we move on. So I had to go back and look at this, and I dialed in every play up minus week 7. I didn't do week 7. In a tempo offense, Jalen Hurts is 69.3% completion.
Okay.
Completions. He is 6 touchdowns, no interceptions. In a traditional non-tempo offense, he is 54% on completions for 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
So what you're saying is that Jalen Hurts is the kind of quarterback who the more he thinks, the more he struggles.
Correct.
Because he doesn't have that ability to make the read. And he's coming from organizations in college who had absolute superstars around him at all times. He didn't have to think. It was chuck the ball up and touchdown.
No, and absolutely correct. And a lot of it has to do with, it has to do with that, a big time. And that was always, that was my concern for him coming out of college.
It was the biggest knock I had.
Yeah. But that's where, so we kind of understand like where he's good at and where he's not good at. And there's enough playmakers on this field that even in a tempo offense, like we've seen, can do damage. And we just don't call it ever.
How much speed have we put around these guys? You know, we built a track team last offseason.
I agree. I absolutely agree. All right, who do you got next for stock down?
All right, so yeah, Jalen Hurts is stock down because as he continues to not win football games, the calls will get louder. But it's as he continues to not even look good in the first 3 quarters of these games. So Jalen Hurts obviously is stock down. He was actually my number 2. My number 1 is the entire coaching staff, sans Jeff Stoutland, who continues to just, all right, hey, here's a new lineup. Cool, I'll get him to block. All right, here. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Here's another new lineup. Okay, I'll get him to block. Jeff Stoutland is a saint. Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon are so clearly out of their depth. It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. When in the post-game conferences, the head coach refers to himself as the offensive coordinator, which Sirianni did. That's a problem. And, I don't watch the defensive side of the ball. You're the head coach. You have to watch everything. Refusing to make adjustments. Refusing to actually, like you were just saying, Hurts does better in up-tempo offense. Well, we're not going to call up-tempo plays all the time. We're just going to let him, make reads and sit back and read. Oh, but then get mad at him that he scrambles after missing his first read, so he starts to scramble. Well, he's got to hold the ball longer. That's not what he does. The penalties after penalties after penalties every week. The not understanding game situations. Oh, well, that's what my chart told me to do. Your chart? Dude, how do you have no football sense? How do you have no football sense? I think the best way that I can describe it, so when McVay got the job, he surrounded himself with veteran coaches, experienced coaches, right? Stefanski did the same thing. Even the Raiders, after getting rid of Gruden, they have 4 former head coaches on their coaching staff, and they simplified and they figured it out. Minus Jeff Stoutland, who is an offensive line coach, and that's what he does. The kids are running the classroom with no supervision.
No, and no, I've forgot none. You said it, everything. Literally, that there's nothing to say. And so when you talked about not only being overmatched, so in this Raiders game, in the Buccaneers game, and in particular in that Dallas game,
oh god,
he looked overwhelmed.
Like
I don't know where he was getting his play calls from. It just didn't make. That's my biggest issue with that, and I agree. Some of it is growing pains, but.
And we know there's growing pains, and there's all the people who want to go, and including on my own network, right? Johnny's so quick to go, oh, well, look at Andy Reid's first couple games. But Andy Reid came from Mike Holmgren and learned how to coach in an elite caliber, Super Bowl winning program. This isn't it.
No.
This isn't it. Nick Sirianni, his offense is so predictable. Jonathan Gannon's defense is so easy to pick apart, and they never make adjustments. Right? I think the telltale sign for me is Miles Sanders, right? Miles Sanders is one of our best weapons. Point blank. Miles Sanders is one of our best weapons. And he was underutilized for the first 6 weeks of the season. Underutilized is being nice. If I am Miles Sanders, I would have demanded a trade after week 4 when it's like, you're just not going to use me. I'm here to play football. I'm not a decoy. So the game plan this week, week 7, was very clearly give Miles Sanders the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And they schemed it in the first 15, and they marched down the field, and it was great. And then Miles Sanders got hurt.
Yeah.
And there was not a single answer for what the hell do we do next? Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll run Kenny Gainwell, who is half the size of Miles Sanders, directly into the line like Miles Sanders does. That's not what he does. That's not what he does.
No, and that's where I think moving forward, I think Boston Scott, it's rather going to be Boston Scott, Jordan Howard. They have to get the majority of that. So at one point, I understand why they kind of kept Kenny Gainwell out there is because a lot of times when Kenny Gainwell's out there, it's like, okay, he's going to catch a pass.
Sure.
So I somewhat kind of give that, and that's fine. But when even they realize that towards the end of that game, like, all right, we need to stop running him. We need to have Boston come in and run the ball. So 100% agree. I'll tell you my next stock down, though.
What do you got?
And it's about to blow out your mind. Derek Barnett.
Oh, I've been stocked down on him. For the amount of garbage that he look, again, another busted draft pick. Like, cool, thanks for the Super Bowl season, but dude, you have no self-control. And Josh Sweat is right there with him, right? Josh Sweat he's not mentally incapacitated like Derek Barnett is, but he is, for the contract that he just signed, he's putting nothing out on paper.
Mm.
But go ahead, Derek Barnett, you were saying.
So, Derek Barnett, already enough said. I do think that Josh Sweat has played about a window hair better than Barnett. Oh yeah. But it doesn't help when we have people like my next stock down, Ryan Kerrigan, taking any amount of snaps from anybody on this team.
Ryan Kerrigan. And I don't know, did Ryan Kerrigan get any stats on Sunday?
No.
Okay. So I want to be very clear about this.
Actually, while you're talking, let me double check this, but I'm pretty sure not.
Double check it. Because I'm about to do math on your show right here.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Kerrigan is getting paid $1 million this season. Right? Ryan Kerrigan has 1 tackle this season. So here's the math for you. Ryan Kerrigan is getting paid $1 million per tackle this season.
Yeah. And actually, I think that tackle,
it's because he fell over. He touched him down.
Yeah, he literally ran right into him. Let's see.
Oh, God.
Nope. Didn't register a single stat.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And it's funny, when we were doing our preseason predictions, I said, Ryan Kerrigan, who has not played a single snap of the preseason, I said he might be a surprise cut because he's put nothing on paper. Maybe I should have been right.
You were correct in all of that, my good sir. What other stock down you got?
All right, so we covered the coaching staff and that abomination. We covered Jalen Hurts, that abomination. We've already covered Alex Singleton a little bit. I think he's getting exposed. I like the guy so much. I think he's a great human, but he's really getting exposed. And without any other linebacking help, and with the secondary playing so far back, I think he's just going to continue to get exposed. But because he's such a nice human, he won't go anywhere. And they won't draft around him, so he'll continue to be the starting linebacker for years to come. I like Alex Singleton. I just think
he's a great special teamer.
I think he is exactly what you would want in a special teamer. And that's why he still plays special teams. He plays every single defensive and special team snap. As a starting linebacker in the NFL, he's not ideal. And I think as we continue to face some of these teams that have tight ends, that have running backs, that have quarterbacks that can throw the quick hitters, I mean, he's just going to keep getting beat.
He's never been a coverage quarterback.
He's fantastic against the run.
Correct. No, he's always been in those situational 4-2 back packages. And that's always been his thing. He's always been laterally. He's never been, horizontally. He's never been lateral.
Right.
As soon as you go lateral, we're
he's done
here. Yeah. So my next stock down I have is actually Fletcher Cox. And the reason
we're talking about this. Yep.
So what he said, and I get it, and I think there's truth to it.
There is 100%.
My few points to this is that, okay, you're Fletcher Cox. You are the highest paid player on this team by far. You are the 3rd highest paid defensive tackle or 2nd. I don't remember. And it shouldn't matter what scheme you are in. You should not only have what you have so far this season, which I think is only 1 sack.
I know it's low. And look, maybe you can say that it's because of the double teams and the fact that Javon Hargrave is having such a breakout season. But you're Fletcher Cox. You got to stop making excuses.
And that's kind of my point. And I get it. And like I said, I think there's truth into what he's saying. But dude, you've played in a 3-4 technique before. And if I remember correctly, that was, I think, his first Pro Bowl nod. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, stop talking about the 3 deep and things like, dude, just do what you need to do and whatever. Because here's the other thing. Forget the sacks. I was not worried about the sacks. Dude, you're getting trucked in the running game, man.
He is. But again, like I watched some film footage of him, and they have him spying on running backs out of the backfield. Like, it's very clear. Look, when Sirianni was hired in that abomination of a first press conference, right, which I think was blown out of proportion. It wasn't great.
I also think he's just not very good at press conferences.
He's not. Now, I think he's got a little more comfortable, but he's also we'll get into that in a second. But Nick Sirianni said the goal of this team is, look, we're going to see what these players do well and then do those things. Like, we're not going to just stick to our scheme because that's our scheme. We're going to see what the players do well and scheme around that. That is the exact opposite of what this team has done on offense and defense. Right? They're trying to turn Jalen Hurts into a pocket quarterback. That's not what he does. They're trying to turn Kenny Gainwell into a between the tackles running back. That's not what he does. They're trying to turn Devontae Smith into an over-the-middle possession receiver. He's too small. He's too small in this NFL. They're trying to turn Andre Dillard into a football player. That's not what he does. They're trying to turn Alex Singleton into a cover linebacker. That's not what he does. They're trying to turn the secondary into, deep over-the-top coverage. That's not what these guys are good at. They're trying to turn Fletcher Cox into a cover tackle. That's not what he does well. It is top to bottom. Hearing Gannon a couple weeks ago go, we're never going to go to the dime package. But you might have to. No, we're never going to do it. Okay, if I'm the offense on the other side, I'm going, all right, send out 6 wide receivers and let's just go.
Oh, yeah. And so, and I think it's just one of those things, man, where, I'm always curious to see kind of with the back end, because I do have some conspiracy theories have crossed my Twitter here lately. And, you're like, man, get out of here. And then you're like, well, hold on a minute.
Wait.
there might be some truth to this. And we'll save that for another day. I promise we'll have that conversation another day.
Let's do it. Let me know when, because it's where for to have gone off the rails so significant. Like, I almost think at some point that the Jeffrey Lurie was upset that we won a Super Bowl. Like, he's like,
I think
what's supposed to happen.
That's I think we just collectively, as a unit, the city of Philadelphia and all around the world, we're like, we're going to go all in on this one. I mean, and that's another, someone had asked me that question actually here very recently, kind of what happened here. And I literally just said, hey, everything just clicked.
Lightning in a bottle. That Super Bowl was a fluke.
And we just, all these players who were coming off the peak of their prime were still just good enough to make an impact. Like, it just, that's kind of where it is. All right, man. What's our last stock down?
So I have been probably the biggest Andre Dillard hater there is.
Mm-hmm.
He's so one-dimensional. Like, if it's not left tackle, he is useless. And here in Philadelphia, we're used to and accustomed to guys who can play multiple positions. I thought that the more tape that Andre Dillard had on him, the weaker he brought down his trade value. But then he had to start some games at left tackle. And he played really well. I thought that all things considered, Andre Dillard played pretty well. Why he's on my stock down list is you saw when he had to come into a game, the very first 2 plays, he got obliterated. Absolutely torched and obliterated. So what it says to me is that if Andre Dillard does not have a week to prepare as the starter, he does not check in full focus. So if he has to check into a game, he is overmatched. And with Lane Johnson back and Jordan Mailata getting healthier by the minute, that's the only way Dillard's going to check into a game. So every minute that he plays on the field, he will come in underprepared.
You know, I got one last actually fun thing to bring up to you actually about Andre Dillard before I let you get out of here and enjoy the rest of your evening. Mm-hmm. So it had come out that, you know, teams are calling Howie about Andre Dillard.
Call. I'll answer the phone. Call.
So, and we're talking about possible second and third round picks.
No.
So I just came to me, it just literally thought about me today. Thought it to me today. What team that's competing that really needs a left tackle? And it hit me. The Bengals.
Because they picked the wrong. I mean, look, Jamar Chase is a stud, but Sewell should have been the pick.
Yeah, but they need to shore up that line if they want to compete, because their schedule is minute here. But once it gets towards the back end, especially with those division games, it's going to heat up big time for the Bengals. And if you think that Ravens game is going to let bygones be bygones, it's not. And that's just not how the Ravens have been.
The Bengals put an absolute stomping on the Ravens, which caught me off guard.
It did. They had their number that game. It just was one of those games where they came in, had their number, couldn't get anything going. Bengals did their research. But I'm going to tell you, the Ravens are kind of the team that are not going to let that really happen twice.
No. I actually think that the Ravens are a team that needs some to shore up their offensive line a little bit.
Because I think they have Villanueva, is he on their left tackle or is he the right tackle?
I think he's right tackle. I think their left tackle is dealing with some injuries, though.
But they're another team. They're actually
so the Ravens, the Chiefs along their offensive line, which is letting Mahomes getting slapped around. Hell, at some point, Jason Peters will get hurt, so the Bears might call.
He actually has already been hurt.
There you go. So the Bears will call. He'll be a Bear by the end of the week.
The only reason why I have not seen really anything big about kind of the Bears camp, because I thought about the Bears. Bears were actually
they're not competing this season.
But they're not competing this season. I heard people say that this was a playoff team, and by the luck of grace, probably not. So, because their head coach is almost as a disaster as ours.
I agree. I think the Bears, their biggest struggle is that they can't settle on a quarterback. The Justin Fields is an Ohio State quarterback, and until somebody breaks the narrative about how bad Ohio State quarterbacks are in the NFL, that's the narrative that will continue. Justin Fields is not. He's an Ohio State quarterback.
He definitely felt the pain in that, because that's the same thing we talk about. The same thing with sometimes why a lot of times Alabama quarterbacks never work out. Why? Because when you have 5-star talent surrounding you,
it makes it look pretty easy.
So, however, I do think Devontae Smith was a fantastic pick. I think he's going to be great.
I do too. And I picked like 6. So wide receivers not named Smith are on my stock down. Like,
yes,
Jalen Reagor went up and made a great catch in garbage time when he didn't have to force separation. Quez Watkins is good for 2 deep shots a game. He'll catch 1. JJ Arcega, I mean, that guy, JJ Arcega-Whiteside is an abomination.
Does he have a catch this season?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so.
He also doesn't have a target this season.
Yeah, you're correct. All right.
He doesn't have a target. He does have 1 back injury, though.
Yeah, he does. He does have a mother who holds an umbrella for him during.
Meanwhile, DK Metcalf has 1 catch for 84 yards yesterday. Like, the comparisons are always going to be there. But wide receiver's not named Smith. But the problem is that the focal point, it's Jalen Hurts takes the snap. If it gets to him, if, Driscoll doesn't smack it out of the air.
He almost hit my stock down for that. Because that's
Pee-wee. That's a Pee-wee mistake.
Yeah, dude, you're not even like, how did you get behind your own player? Like, that's where, dude, I was like, that's wild.
He tapped the leg and then anticipated the snap. Because remember, they were going under a silent count. He tapped the leg and anticipated the count and somehow got in there. But Jalen Hurts, he gets the snap. He fakes the RPO. He then looks for Devontae Smith. And if Devontae Smith is semi-open or only triple covered, he will throw him the ball, usually behind him. And if he's quadruple covered, that's when Jalen Hurts will take off and run with it. But that's the Eagles' offense right now. That's the entirety of it.
And that's where it's actually, it's legitimately hilarious that you brought that up, because I actually had put out a story about 3 weeks ago on the Fight Philly Fight Network, literally about like, dude, the NFL's not fooled by the Slim Reaper. Like, they're not. Like, they're going to give him attention.
They are, and they will shove him out about. And then that's the thing. The same common mistakes. How many times can we say, leave yourself space on the sideline? But he's so little, he's getting pushed towards the sideline, towards the sideline, towards the sideline, and then leaving no room to work.
I will say this, though, because everyone gets a serving of petty spaghetti from me. He did reestablish himself when he caught that touchdown.
Agreed.
So that's that for Jalen Reagor did not.
No, but he still couldn't be the first guy to touch the ball. That's correct. The issue.
But
he did reestablish, but he couldn't be the first guy to touch the ball.
And that's why it's a shame. I appreciate your time, man.
Oh my God, it was great. I got a chance to vent about the Eagles. I feel like I never get a chance to do that.
Yeah. Which is part of the reason why we do what we do. Is just
I love it. I love it.
It frustrated us to the point of where we need. This is our therapy for this team.
But it's mind-boggling that we can sit here and understand the issues without all the fancy bells and whistles. But the guys who get the fancy bells and whistles don't do anything, and that's what kills me.
No, and I am 100% agreement, man. Chip, tell them where they can find you.
So I am one of the hosts of the All About the Birds podcast at AATBirds, which is on the All Authentic Talk Sports Network, which is at AAT Sports _. I'm at Chip for the Birds. I do a show every Monday night called Chips and Dish, where I cover basically whatever the hell I want to cover because it's my show. And then Wednesday, I do the Eagles Weekly Report, which we always do an enemy podcaster. And we pick their brains on the opponent approaching. And I pop on as a guest, as I did tonight, which was a lot of fun. Stock up, stock down.
Hey, man, I greatly appreciate it. For everyone listening, especially on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, StreamYard, every place that this is going right now. This was awesome. Always enjoy my good friendship over here. If you've not, make sure you do follow him on Twitter. It's good to make you laugh. Also, possibly learn a thing or two. Guys, as always, greatly appreciate everything. We'll be back next week with a stock up, stock down with another special guest. Maybe it'll be Chip again.
It might very well be.
But, man, I greatly appreciate you. And, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Tom, thanks, man.